Hello and welcome to the relearning for the lines of symmetry. This is the second standard that we have on Unit 3. It's a very small standard, but it's one that we need to make sure that you understand for your relearning. Please make sure you put the date up here. Please make sure that you have your name on here. If you're looking at this and you don't have a sheet, you can write it on your loose leaf sheet of paper, or you can go in the back of room 1029. It's in the blue compartment on the third row. The lines of symmetry are basically what we're looking at is how do we divide a figure in half to make sure that the right and left or top bottom are exactly the same. When we want to imagine having a folded line and they line up exactly the same. So when we're looking at this number 1 here, you can see that if we were to put it across like this, we would have this be our fold line. You could see that the fold line would be the same. We could pull it up and it would be in our sections. We would be able to put them in half and you would be able to have them be exactly the same. We have another, if we were to go directly down the center, we could also fold so that this side and this side come together and they're exactly the same. However, we can't go on an angle. If we were to do that, this part would be up here, but it doesn't necessarily have a line that matches up to it. So in here, we check all our angles. We check the corners. We check the middle on either side. None of them create the same symmetry where we bring them up and we pull them together. We fold them together like this on either side to be able to make sure that they're equal. So in here we have two lines of symmetry. For this section here, we're going to do the same thing. You check, here are some tips and tricks. You should be able to check each section, each corner, each line in half. So when we're looking at it here, you can clearly see that there's one down the middle. If we were to put a line of symmetry, and again, this would be straight, I'm just hand drawing it, but it should be considered straight, that if we were to pull this corner up and this corner up, they would meet and they would be exactly the same. However, if we look at the corners here, we pull this corner up here, it doesn't match the corner up here. This one comes over here and this one comes over here. So there's no line of symmetry from this corner. When we divide it in half here, we have a point here and no point on the other side. We check each of our corners. We check each of the middles of our lines. Again, this one has more values on this side than here, more points. So this one, once we check in the middle here, none. Here, there's no, it doesn't fold up neatly. The corners don't line up. So therefore we have one line of symmetry. So when you're doing these problems down here, I expect you to check all of the corners to see if you, in your imagination, if they line up when you come up together, as well as the middle of each of the lines, because we're looking at, those are the checkpoints that we have for the line of symmetry. Make sure down here that you check all of the points, as well as the middle of the lines, as well as the points that are indented or concave, where they go inside. It's a fancy word for folded in. So anyway, check all the different answers. We'll see how many lines of symmetry you have. Once you've done that, then we'll be able to have you go and do your reassessment. This is the relearning for symmetry.